Wow, Terree, you are here. That is so awesome
Woo!
to see you. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming on.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for the invite, Winsome.
Absolutely. So hey originals, it is the inaugural episode of the Big Up Yourself show. Big up yourself. You have to say it the Jamaican way, yourself. We're here to celebrate ourselves, acknowledge our awesomeness, give ourselves credit for being, a survivor of stuff, to brag on our accomplishments, to embrace our originality, and we're going to promote our businesses and our projects and build self-esteem. And if you've done something that you never thought that you could do, but you did it, come on the show. Let's talk about that. So, welcome, Terree. Oh my gosh. Welcome. Oh, let me welcome the people too. I want to welcome all of you and big you up for being here, right? I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and to hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever we upload a video or we go live. And I'm inviting you to be interactive. Interact with us. Leave a comment, a thumbs up, share. I don't know if you can share lives, but share and do all these things. And we're just here to build self-esteem and build each other up. Welcome and big up yourself. All right, Terree. So nice to see you. Terree and I met in Marrakesh, right? And let
Yes.
me tell you something, Terree. I don't know if you are aware of your light or of your presence, but when I met you, I don't remember if you approached me or I approached you, it was an immediate impact. I felt like this sister is like one of us.
Oh,
She,
wow.
yes, she is a super conscious being. That's the energy I got off of you, and I was excited to get to know you better. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to just hearing what you had to share.
Awesome. Thank you, Winsome. I remember when we met. So it was when they had the breakfast first thing in the
Yes,
morning, and we
yes,
were both at the omelet station.
yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yes. I remember
Yep.
that. And I don't remember what you said or what I said, but it was like, bam. I was like, yes, that's one to watch. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Winsome. And same with you too. You know, you have such a warm, inviting personality. I feel like you're the kind of person that never meets a stranger. I could be wrong, but I mean, and people were checking you out too because you're like glamorous, larger than
Oh,
life. You had your
oh,
tripod, taking all your photos and videos and stuff. And you were like, I don't know what y'all came here to do, but I'm going to capture these moments.
that's
And I
true.
love that. Yes.
Oh my God, you're right. I was on a mission. I'm trying to not wear glasses, but I really can't see without them. So let me put them back on.
They
And
look fabulous. Yes.
mhm. So Terree, so you already understand the premise of the show. My
Yes.
first question for you as we get to know you is, would you share with us a difficult time you went through, a trauma or a challenge, and you overcame it, and how you did that?
I would like to share that. I was wondering though, should I give my bio first or should
That's
I,
fine.
is
That's
that
fine. Introduce yourself. That's fine.
okay? And basically, Winsome, I'm just gonna pull up what I sent you so that I can
Okay.
so that I can be like concise and not ramble.
Right.
Um, let me see, let me find it here. So, all right. So I was raised in Anchorage, Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And so the new name of my channel, I'm rebranding myself, is Life After 50 with Terree. Prior to
Uh-huh.
that, the name of my channel was Happy Girl Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the oldest of four children, a
Mm-hmm.
mother to one daughter who is currently attending college. Um, And again, you know, I'm known in social media as Happy Girl Alaska, but I'm slowly trying to put my name out there, Terree, as
Right.
affiliated with Life After 50. And so basically, what I started out doing is sharing my experiences in Alaska as well as information, because for a lot of people, Alaska is kind of a mystery, maybe not so much anymore, but especially for Black people seeing another Black person in Alaska, it
Mhm.
was something that was kind of like,
Right.
oh, wow, we're everywhere.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're everywhere and we're thriving, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I was happy to share my experiences. And I moved last year to
Mhm.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, so I'm not in Alaska anymore. What am I going to talk about now? And
Mhm.
basically, I'm shifting my focus to midlife, right? So
Midlife.
different
Midlife.
experiences and stuff. And Winsome, I never gave the fact that I was middle age any consideration until I took my daughter to college. And I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh,
It
I'm
hits
middle aged
you.
now,
It hits
right?
you.
And so what I want to do
You're not
is
even 50 yet, are you? You're not
I
even.
will be I'll be 50 in December.
Oh my goodness, but you're preparing for it.
I am preparing for it. Yep, doing all my investigation. And let me tell you what, the community of, and I mostly focus on Black women just because I'm looking for myself, right?
Right, right.
Um, so many beautiful Black women like yourself that are 50 and above that are just living their best life. They're
Mhm.
talking about challenges that they face and that they've
Yes,
overcame. They're talking about health, fitness,
yes,
beauty. I mean, it's just, I never knew that world existed, honestly.
yes. We
I
are living.
never knew. Yes.
We are living. My life began in my 50s, Terry. So there you
Wow, love it.
go.
Wow. Well, you know, when so I might have to knock on your door and have you come on my channel too to talk about how your life started after.
Oh, I would love to, girl. I would love
Okay.
to. I've got a lot to share about that. Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm almost done with my bio here. So I enjoy traveling. I'm getting back into fitness because I noticed as I'm getting older, you know, little aches and pains are trying to
Oh,
sneak up
yeah.
and stuff. So I'm trying to get back into that, get my nutrition on point. I love fashion. So
Yes.
I want to talk about and feature more of that as
Yes.
well. And just sharing information. You know, I love researching and exploring different things. And so I'm having fun with it. I call this my second act.
I
And I'm
love
going to do exactly what I want to do. I'm going to live life the way that I want to on my terms.
Oh my
So
gosh,
that's
I
it.
love it so much. I love it. I love it. That's all about being the original you, right?
Yes,
That's what we
absolutely.
do here is celebrate that who you were originally intended and created to be. And that's what you're doing. I love it. I'm here for it, girl.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, um, do you want me to go ahead and get into
Yes.
sharing? Okay.
Yes.
And you know, when some you live long enough, you've been through some things, right?
Absolutely.
And you keep
Absolutely.
on living, hopefully you have
Absolutely.
overcome. And it was hard for me to really narrow down one particular thing that I wanted to talk about. But I think what I want to focus on is I feel that I have crafted a beautiful life. And a beautiful life looks different depending on the people that you're talking to, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But there is a saying that says, God will give you beauty for your ashes.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And I am
Bible.
one of many living testimonies of that. You know, on
Share,
my
girl.
channel,
Share.
I've shared a little bit that, you know, I've been through some traumatic experiences
Yes.
growing up. My childhood was not easy, right? And what I mean by that is I was born to very young parents.
Mhm.
My mom was 16, my dad was 19.
Mhm.
And they both came from families that were doing well, you know, The children were cared for. They had nice things, that whole Black excellence thing, right?
Okay.
Both sides of my families. However, some of the nurturing was not there, right?
Right.
Or it was limited. I mean, they had anywhere from 6 to 13 kids, right, for each family. And in some instances, there was abuse,
Of course.
things that aren't really talked about, or
Yes.
especially back then in the Black community, talk about,
Mhm,
abuse and things like that,
mhm,
physical, verbal,
mhm.
what have you.
Very much.
And so my parents kind of carried some of those traits with them, right? The
Right.
good and the bad. So they always strive for excellence, having the nice house, nice cars, nice things, traveling, your kids, you look good, your kids look good,
Mhm.
perfect picture. However, some of those negative traits that they carried over had a significant impact on not only myself, like I said, I'm the oldest of 4 children, but my siblings as well. And with me being the oldest, I think I caught the brunt of it. And when you're a child, you look to your parents to guide you, which they did. You also look to them to protect you.
Right.
And they protected us, but they didn't protect us from themselves in the sense that, there's been so many strides that have been made with people coming forward and going through therapy so
Yeah.
that they're able to live a profound life, one that is devoid of toxicity.
Uh-huh.
So my parents, they weren't equipped in that area. They just knew how to go out and get it and live the life that looks good on the outside. And so
I
as a result,
I appreciate how you are giving them grace in the areas
absolutely.
where they failed you. And
Yes.
that means that you have done some growing and some healing yourself. And I commend you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a tough road getting there, but um, yeah, so I will say, growing up, your self-image it suffers as a result of that, right? And you
Absolutely.
kind of have a little bit of a warped view of what a good, healthy life looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we had all the stuff, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, we didn't want for anything materially,
Oh,
but that nurturing, that care, and building your children up as opposed to tearing them down,
so
was something that was,
emotional neglect. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
emotional neglect. There was some
Mhm.
physical abuse. And so what you do is, for me, I was in a constant state of trying to achieve and get stuff, and thinking that, okay, if I do that, then I can win my parents' approval, win their love. And that translated over into the other relationships that I tried to build with
Mhm.
people,
Mhm.
whether it was romantic or friendships, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I found myself overextending myself. I had very low self-esteem.
Right.
Um, and anyone that came into my life that showed me something contrary to what my parents had taught me, I would sabotage those relationships,
Right.
and I gravitated more towards the toxic people,
Yes. Uh-huh.
right? And
Uh-huh.
they were the toxic people. They had all the stuff, but they were
Mm.
emotionally damaged. They were,
Mhm.
they were missing those very same things that I myself was missing as a result of my parents. So I kind of drew those kind of people to
Right.
me.
Right.
And so, like I said, I had a tough go at it in childhood, carried that over into my teenage years, and then as a young adult as well.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my parents, because I went a year without speaking to them, because I knew that I had some healing that needed to take place after I left home. And I told my parents, I said, most people, you hear them say they left home so they could fly,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I said, I left home because my wings were broken and I needed to heal, you know, and because they were really hurt when I cut off communication to them, but I knew that was something I needed to
You
do.
needed to
I
do.
held my parents in very high esteem and regard because
Mhm.
I believe you're supposed to honor your parents, good,
Right.
bad, or indifferent,
Mhm.
right? But at the same time, I found that I was suffering as a
Mhm.
result of not in that part, but making myself, giving them access to me, however and whenever they wanted it. I'm hoping somebody's going to get something out of this.
Girl, I commend you for
Mhm.
recognizing your need for you to heal, for you
Yes.
to take care of yourself, and that it was necessary for you to set some boundaries so that
Yes.
you could begin your healing process. I commend you for that. And how old were you at that time?
Oh gosh, I was probably 25, 26, something like that.
Wow. Wow. So you were
Yeah.
well along before you realized that or made
Yes.
the decision to go for your healing. I want to
Yes.
have a drink for you on that. I am proud of that. And we have champagne
Thank you.
here today because it is our first show and we
Oh
are
yes, yes.
ourselves. Yes.
Well,
Cheers.
I have a little something. I have it's a rose lemonade.
Oh, that looks so good. Cheers. Sis.
Cheers.
Okay. Okay. So continue.
Okay. So during that year that I took to just really, just really assess where I'd come from and looking at, because I believe all experiences, you can grow from them, right?
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to, even though it was very hard, I didn't want to vilify my parents.
Right.
And so what I did though is I picked up a book called The Road Less Traveled.
Yes,
And
I read that. I
have
read
you? Oh
that.
my goodness.
Good.
I've read it a couple times. I want to read it again though. Because there's so many nuggets in there, Winsome, as you know, right?
Yes.
And it was all a matter of framing your perspective, giving the situation or scenarios that you're experiencing, right?
Mm.
If something had been tweaked a little bit, how would you look at it differently? And that helped me to, as you say, extend my parents some grace.
Right.
Because prior to that, all I was doing was kind of sitting in my hurt,
Sitting in her.
soaking in it, right?
Yes.
And so I did some work, and I went to church, and the type of counseling that I got was through the church. And what they were basically telling me is that, you need to forgive by faith, you need to forgive them because they're your parents. But what they did not share with me, and I didn't learn it until later on, is that forgiveness is a process.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't just will yourself to forgive, or at least I don't think you can.
Yes,
You have to
ma'am.
kind of lift up the covers, call a thing, look at it, call a thing, and
Yes.
then decide how you want to manage your relationship with said individuals, right? I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that at the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did is I followed their instructions, and I forgave my parents, right, without going through the process. And so it was the same cycle though, right? As the oldest, they would put expectations on me. I felt like I had to meet those expectations. And the way they spoke to me oftentimes was not in a respectful manner, even though I was an adult, you know. And so I just kind of picked up where I left off. And
Mm.
I was looking at my life the way that it was, and I was just kind of like, I got these people around me that aren't healthy, but I have all this stuff. So I felt like in order to keep up appearances that I had to hold on to all of that.
Yes.
Um, I met my daughter's father. We got married. We had her. And again, I attracted a partner that was similar, right?
Mhm.
Because they were able to reinforce and continue the programming that I was under. And
Correct.
I was comfortable. I was uncomfortable, but I was comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
Wow.
In that
You were
toxic marriage.
conscious. Were you consciously aware You were aware that you were uncomfortable, but were you
I-
consciously aware that you were comfortable being uncomfortable?
yes. Yes. And the thing is, we were married for 10 years. And throughout that process, I did have some people that were close to me that while I was going through some of those evaluations and things, I attracted some good people into my life. And they told me, they said, I don't even recognize you anymore. You were the kind of person that if someone said something to you, you would at least speak up. They said, you don't even have a voice anymore. And, I had my daughter and everything, and I didn't want to leave that marriage because, again, we had the stuff. I didn't want to be a single parent because of the stigma that came along with that.
Uh-huh.
My parents never divorced, right? Even though I don't want to say we might have been better for it, but I mean, they were in a toxic marriage. And so
Mhm.
for me, and when I would talk to my mom, she would say, if he's not hitting you, you stay.
Wow.
He's paying bills. Well, we were paying bills. You got that big, beautiful home. You don't want to leave that so some other woman can come and pick up, what you helped build. That's programming, right? But I remember when I was sitting in my bathtub and I asked God, I said, even if you got to strip me down to the bare bones and rebuild me, let's do that, because I don't want
Wow.
to keep doing this anymore. Right? I was 30 pounds heavier than I had ever been in my entire life. Um, and I knew that physically, my body, my health was taking a hit. I knew that. And I was like, what kind of example am I going to be for my daughter? Right.
Mhm, mhm.
So I didn't have the heart to file for divorce, but I told him I wanted a divorce. So he went and filed for divorce. And I thank him for that today.
And this was after 10 years.
This was after 10 years. There have been so many things that had happened in the course of it. And he came from a broken home as well.
Mhm,
Right. So again, attracting those
mhm,
types of people with those types of energies. And
mhm.
so we got divorced. And I remember packing up that big, beautiful home. My daughter was crying because she didn't want to leave that house. I mean, it was a beautiful house. When the floor plan of the home was named after me.
So
Yes.
it was a newly built home, a
We designed
custom
it.
home,
We
a
designed it
custom
and
home.
everything and named the floor plan my name.
My word, the Terree.
Yes. Yes. And the thing is, though, I never felt like that was my home. I never felt like that was my house.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even
It
though it
was.
was built for
Yes.
you
Yes.
never felt like you were home
I never felt like I was home.
because he wasn't home. I heard
Right.
Michelle Obama said, Barack is her home.
Mhm.
So he
Yep.
didn't feel like home to you, so you couldn't even feel at home in that big, beautiful home that was made for
Exactly.
you. That's
Exactly.
profound.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I remember moving into the small 2-bedroom apartment, a room for myself, one for my daughter. And I told her, I said, if you pay attention, you're going to see how God is going to restore over and above. And she was little. She was maybe about 6 or 7, I think, 6, 7, 8. I
Mhm.
said, pay attention and watch God move. And so at the time I had gotten married, I was going to college and I dropped out because I became pregnant and I wanted to focus on being a wife and a mom. And so I put that on the back burner. Well, after the divorce, I decided to go back to college and I needed 2 years to complete my bachelor's degree. I completed it in a year and a half.
Yes!
Right?
Big up
Right?
yourself, girl. Big up
It,
yourself.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you. And I remember I had this routine that I would call my pre-cup of coffee because I didn't know what to do, right? I'm not where I thought I would be. I had just turned 40 And I said at the age of 40, I was supposed to have this big grand party to celebrate my 40th birthday. You know, it's a milestone, right? And so, but instead I was sitting in this apartment by myself. You know, I had my daughter, you know, during the middle of the week, and then she'd go back to her dad's. And I was just like, wow, I didn't imagine this for myself. So I needed something that I could hold on to. So I developed what I called a pre-cup of coffee routine.
Pre-cup of coffee.
Yes. So before I had my coffee, I pulled out my yoga mat and I popped in a Jane Fonda. I don't know if you remember Jane Fonda.
Yes, absolutely.
And she had all these exercise tapes and stuff. So I popped that in and I would do yoga, and I had to build up to it because I wasn't really, you know, good at doing yoga, but I needed something that was going to help me focus. And she talked about focus on your breathing, the movements will come.
Oh.
I did that every single morning. I read a book called The Happiness Project, and I would journal after I read, and then I would meditate and pray. And I did that every single morning.
You were consciously working on your healing. You were healing yourself. That's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Now, and you didn't break down with it, with all that you had gone through. You just knew that there was better and you wanted to be better, and you went for it. My goodness.
Let me tell you. So the nickel dropped when I was doing my meditations one morning, and I got a visual of me running headfirst into the wind, right? Because I believed that life was about challenge. And if you weren't challenging something, you weren't living. Yeah. My dad gave us this mantra: I'm a Black woman and I must be strong. So in hearing that, I thought challenges were, and they are a part of life, but you don't always have to be in a fight. Right? You don't always have to be.
Right.
And so I was running headfirst into the wind, and I never thought about this. In the visualization, I stood up, turned around, and started running with my arms out. And I started flying.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so what I saw was that the same forces I said I wasn't going to do this.
Do it, girl. Do it. Do it.
Okay. The same force that I was fighting against could propel me. I had no idea. And when I saw that and I held that.
That's why we go through what we go through, sis.
Well, here's the thing. In that moment, I grabbed my journal and I started writing down a bunch of I am statements. And I didn't even have to think about it, but everything that came to me, I am this. At the time, I had just started working in a project manager role. And I put, I am a superstar project manager. I am an amazing mother. I am a six-figure earner. I am this. I am that, you know? And so I made the list, and I'm telling you, there had to have been like 50 I ams on there. And I closed the journal, and I didn't go back to that journal for a very long time. But what I also saw in another visualization, when I was meditating, there was a room full of treasures. And I heard and I'm a spiritual person. Absolutely. The Holy Spirit said, I will redeem the time. Yes. And I will restore you.
Yes.
And I saw experiences, not just stuff, but experiences. And I said, I believe I'm going to fly. I said, I believe so strongly that I'm going to fly. And a few years after that, I took a solo trip to Thailand, had never been out of the country in my life, right? Because my parents, my dad, he's scared to death of leaving the country for some reason, even though he was military and had been to Japan. But I guess he didn't like that experience. But I went to Thailand by myself and I had an amazing time. And it's just everything just seemed to click. And
Yes.
blessings were abounding. And I remember my boss, when I told her I was going through that divorce, one day she looked at me, she said, "You look like you're glowing."
My goodness.
And she didn't know everything, right? I just told her I'm going to have to go to the courthouse every now and then, so on and so forth. And I said, "I feel like I'm glowing." She said, "Well, I want you to know I can see it. You're glowing." And I told my daughter, I said, "I'm going to buy a house." A year later, I was driving through a neighborhood and I saw this townhome. And I called a realtor. We went inside. I said, "This is my house." There was some money that my ex-husband didn't tell me about, but it was brought to my attention. And I said, "Should I pursue it or should I not?" And the woman I was talking to said, "Why wouldn't you? That belongs to you."
Yes.
That money that I got from, what I didn't know about, I put that into my new home. The home that I sold recently, I tripled that. You know what I mean? And I moved in there 2015 and I moved last year, right? And within that time, within the course of 8 years, I tripled my return on that.
Abundance.
You know what I mean? And so the promotions at work just kept coming.
Yes.
And it was just amazing because God knew that my heart was that I didn't want my daughter to lack for anything. I didn't want to lack for anything, but I also wanted to be whole.
You wanted to be whole.
I wanted to be whole. So when I say I've created a beautiful life for myself, Winston, I don't want for anything. My daughter doesn't want for anything.
Oh my goodness.
And all of my needs are always met. They're just always over and above. It's like if a situation rises up, I don't stress. I see it, I recognize it, and I say, everything is clicking.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Everything, I do that.
You are playing the game of life very well.
Okay.
I noticed that you read that book.
I did. Yes.
Yes. And everything you desire is coming toward you.
Yes.
Right? I love that. Oh, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So that low self-esteem that you developed as in your childhood, you have overcome that now. You feel whole within yourself.
Yes, I do. And I believe that age has helped as well. My daughter, she's like, "Mommy, if I hear a good song that comes on, I'm dancing and stuff, and I don't care where we are." And I find that I'm a lot more comfortable with really speaking my mind. I've been one of those people that I'm honest, right? If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my honest answer. But I'm a lot more vocal, at work, dealing with relationships with people, because for me, it's important to manage my relationships, especially at this point in my life, and so I make a conscious effort to do that. But I'm still a work in progress. There are things that come up that kind of shake my confidence.
Of course.
But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, this life is to be lived, and you can't live it really in a shadow or hunkered down in a corner somewhere. You got to live out loud.
Live out loud, girl. Live out loud. And
Mhm.
that's what you're doing here. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming on today and sharing that story
Yeah.
with us.
Yes, my pleasure.
Oh my gosh. And how I am so blown away by how you have grown out of these tight spots that you are in. And your light is shining so bright every day on your Instagram. I'm like, look at Terree just living. And the way that you are embracing aging, that's
Yes.
inspirational. Because that's
Mm.
kind of challenging for me. When I turned 55, I freaked out.
Oh, no.
I did. But watching you embracing and getting ready to get your AARP membership and everything,
That's right.
inspiring. That is inspiring. And I'm proud of you. I want to big you up. I want
Oh,
you to
thank
big up
you.
yourself, girl. You are a superstar after all.
Oh, thank you so much, Winsome. So are you. So are
Oh
you.
my God. Now, so do you feel like you are living the original vision for your life that you saw since, childhood? Or are you like, is it evolving now?
I believe it is evolving now because I don't know if I ever really had the opportunity to visualize the life or to see the life or what God created for
Yeah.
me to do,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
my life's mission or what
Yeah.
my dreams were, because my dreams were the dreams that my parents instilled in me.
Got it. Got it. Got
Right?
it. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Good for you. Well, baby, I just want to thank you once again. And I raise my glass to you. I thank you for the visionary in you. I salute you for understanding what support means.
Hmm.
Didn't have to ask you twice to come on. You got the vision and you came on. I want to
Absolutely.
thank you up for coming out of that stuff that you came out of and for living like you're living right now, being fully Terree.
Yes.
By the way, one more thing before we quit. Tell me about the story of your name. I meant to ask you that from the beginning. Tell me about your name.
My name. So Terry is short for my full name, which is Terica.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
And my mom originally was going to name me Monique.
Oh,
Yeah, but then her sister, she was a huge fan of let's see, what show was Erica Kane on? Was it All My Children or
one of them,
yeah.
General
And
Hospital or something.
one of those. And
Mhm.
so my mom was like, "Well, I kind of like the name Terry too." And so she merged the two together. So
Oh,
my legal name is Terica, but I go by Terry. My grandmother, my late grandmother used to call me Terry.
so
So
now the spelling of Terry is different. How did that come about?
I
Was
just,
that your mother or was that you?
that was me. I just wanted something different. It's pronounced Terree.
That's what I
But
thought. That's
yes,
when I started calling you Terry
yes,
or Terray. But then I
yes,
was listening to see how you pronounced it. So it's Terry.
Terree,
Okay,
yes,
got it, got it. All
yes.
right, my love. I want to thank you so much. Thank
Thank you,
you from the
Winsome.
bottom of my heart. And I want you to continue bigging up yourself. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to congratulate you on your inaugural. This is your first show, right? Under
That
the
show,
Big
I
Up
can't
YuSelf.
believe I'm even doing it.
Yes. Yes, I love that. And you know what? I would like to bring you onto my channel to talk about your rebranding and everything. And
It
I'm
would be
curious to
an
hear more about that.
honor. It would be an honor. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right,
Awesome.
sis.
Awesome.
But
Well, did you want me to just drop or did you want me to hang out for a second or
I
how
do
did how
want you to hang out, and I'm glad you asked the question. I just didn't want to quite say it on air. But now, you guys, okay, go ahead and subscribe to Cherry's channel. It's Life After 50 with Terree, and she's also on Instagram with the same name. All right.
Yes,
Thank you, girl.
absolutely.
All right. So hang up for a second.
Righty.